Hello, my friend.
Hi.
Welcome in, everyone. It's the energy update for July of 2025.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
Oh my gosh. Well, um, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
I don't
because,
want to freak people out.
right, and you don't want to sugarcoat it and, oh, everything's fine.
Mm-mm. No. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting year. This snake is really forcing transformation. It's like
Hmm.
we don't get a choice anymore.
Yeah.
We've had plenty of chances over the last couple of decades to do the inner work, to do the transformational processes. Humanity has refused to do that, so
Hmm.
we're we're in a new phase where universe is kind of pushing us into those transformation phases and forcing us to shed our skin.
And really, I think, I mean, I'm seeing it when I turn on the TV or talk to friends, but I'm really seeing it even myself. It's really pulling back the layers and exposing the shadow,
Hmm.
exposing this parts of ourselves that we've swallowed or tried to contain or deny or think we've dealt with it and healed it. It's almost like the snake never, it's not just one shed, its whole life it keeps shedding. And so
Yeah.
it's just kind of like peeling back the layers of the onion and really being vulnerable and exposing, and to our core essence, getting
Hmm.
back to that. But it is a lot. But let's talk about the energy of the month to get
Okay.
started. I want to say, it's a yin water sheep. And to
Hmm.
me, right off the top, 15 years ago, I would have said, oh, this is a nice, gentle, soft energy.
No, not at all.
And I don't think the sheep really exists right now. I think the
Mm-mm.
sheep energy is definitely more goat energy,
Oh, yep.
which is more
100%.
that butting heads,
Hmm.
rebellious, sitting out on the fringe,
Yeah.
seeking a different perspective. So I think the docile, passive nature of that sheep is, I don't think it's gone forever, but I don't think during this period 9 fire energy that it's going, you kind of have, those sheep people have to really step up.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think
and I
we're
think
seeing
that
it.
it's a choice. Since it's the animal of duality, we've got the sheep and the goat. Us as a collective during this month, we can choose which of those energies we want to embody.
Oh, I love
Are we
that.
going to be stubborn and butt heads? Are we going to go with the flow of what's kind of going on out there? Or are we going to choose to be like the sheep that wants to be with its people, that wants to be
Hmm.
with surrounding friends and family and sharing kind of peace, harmony, kind of a familial kind of energy?
Hmm.
But right now, it's mostly about ambition. It's about get out of my way. I'm climbing the mountain.
Hmm.
I'm going to make it to the top. I don't care what I have to do to get there,
Hmm.
even if it's at the cost of other people and their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing that I find so interesting about this energy is the sheep, its natural energy is earth.
Hmm.
And since we're moving into a yin water kind of month, when you put both of those elements together, what do water and earth create? They create mud,
Yeah.
right? And have you ever tried to walk in the mud, like a rainy day at the beach or something like
Hmm.
that? It's like
It's messy.
the mud becomes slippery and you don't want to
Hmm.
fall.
Yeah.
Therefore, the earth becomes a little bit unstable. So a lot of the things that are going to unfold this month are going to seem kind of hazy or confusing because
Hmm.
that muddy water, you can't look into murky water and see to the bottom. It's
Right.
murky, it's cloudy. There's no way to
Hmm.
see. So don't be surprised if some of the things that you see on the news don't make any sense, if there's a lot of confusion. But what I keep telling people is eventually the mud settles, but it takes a lot of time.
Impatience.
Yeah. And guess what? Goats don't have a lot of that.
Mm-mm.
They want to get to the top of the mountain, they want to
Yeah.
climb.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, this the sheep energy is such a sheep goat. It's that herd energy that
Mm.
seeks that seeks a shepherd, that seeks somebody to guide them. And all of us, in as a collective, are often sheep. Of course, there's those outliers and stuff like that. But whether you're seeking a higher power or somebody in an authority position, or it's your boss, or it's whoever wears the pants in your house, we all have a tendency to kind of fall into perhaps that sheep mentality
Mm.
of following blindly and just not really checking in with what's at our core
Yeah.
essence, and just following because everybody else is following or that's what they're doing.
Right.
I think the sheep energy can really get itself into some deep trouble, not with those intentions, because
Hmm.
sheep are very nurturing, very compassionate, and very feminine and loving. So I don't think they go in with intentions of things going bad. But
Hmm.
if they're not, you know, checking their resources and backing up, thoughts and ideas, I think it can get them into some trouble. And as
Well,
we both know, they're kind of prone to repeating the mistakes over and over again.
yeah. Yeah. And they if they don't learn the first time, they're doomed to repeat that. The phrase goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I think that sheep are always having good intentions, right? But what they have to do is they have to look around at all of their surroundings and all of the different pathways that they can take, because I think they miss out on the fact that they feel kind of trapped into only moving in this one direction
Mm-hmm.
since the herd is moving that direction.
Yeah.
Whereas if they don't have to actually turn a full 180 and go the opposite direction. All they have to do is just pivot a couple of degrees. But once you pivot a couple of degrees and you get further and further, path takes you in a completely different direction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to kind of be aware of that this month, especially.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how people in authority positions take
Hmm.
advantage of this energy,
Hmm.
right? Um, the collective energy and feeding it.
Yeah.
My feng shui master, Mary, she said, sheep can be led to greener pastures just as easily
Hmm.
as they can be led to slaughter.
Yeah.
So it really is knowing where you're going, who are you following, and who are you
Hmm.
listening to.
Yeah.
The yin water might provide some moments of reflection,
Hmm.
maybe a little bit of healing energy. Um, the
I
sheep
like that.
also the sheep also represents the partnership energy.
Mm.
The two in the southwest corner, in the
Hmm.
marriage corner of feng shui. But hey, the sheep is going to hit our houses because we have ox men in our homes. I
Yeah.
have three of them, and you have one.
Yeah. I have one. Yeah. And that's in feng shui we call that a clash energy. So the ox is here. It likes to move slow and steady and move slow and steady. It does not like to be told or led in any specific direction. It has an intention. It moves in that direction. It's not going to be swayed. The sheep or the goat,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't necessarily want to go on its own path. It wants to be pointed.
Mm-hmm.
Once that goat can be pointed, hey, there's the top of the mountain. He's like, okay, bye. I'm on my way, right? But unless the sheep or a goat has direction, it kind of scrambles for a minute before it makes its decision. So that's why the ox can't really stand the sheep, is because it's like, oh my God, just make a decision and move,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So oxen need to kind of lay low this month, because it's going to be like they're in a field, laying in the field, kind of chowing down on some grass, and they've got a bunch of baby goats jumping all over it, playing around and jumping off of its
Goat
head, going,
yoga in the field.
yeah, exactly. That's the image I get for this month for oxen. So, you know, it's kind of an energy where you're going to have to realize that this is you're not necessarily going to have your own path that you're going to walk. There's going to be others involved this month.
Exactly. Yeah. Because the sheep is all about the community. Hey, we're going to go
Hmm.
together, right?
Yeah.
We're going to jump off the cliff together or we're going to survive together. When the
Hmm.
ox he's all about himself. So the
Yeah.
ox like you said, they don't want to have to take care of anybody else.
Mm-mm.
So they're going to have to be considerate, consider others in the room or
That's not easy for ox.
no, no, it's not. And we're not laughing at oxen. We're just laughing at our experiences with oxen.
Our lived lives at home.
Yes. The rat doesn't look like it has a very good relationship with the sheep,
No,
does it? It's called a
no.
harm.
Hmm.
So what I'm picking up from that is the rat really needs to lean in, not hear this something to be afraid of, but lean in intuitively.
Hmm.
Harm or damage energy kind of is unexpected. It kind of comes out of nowhere,
Yeah.
right? And so it's not to be overreactive or to isolate yourself and go into that deep water energy of the rat energy.
Hmm.
But watch details. Be careful. It's it's in if anything happens, as quickly as you can, see it as a valuable lesson. What is this moment, this incident, this relationship really trying to guide me, a part of the
Yeah.
sheep energy, rather
Hmm.
than, you know, just panicking and jumping into fear.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
recall, like in the past, because you have a rat in your chart?
I have a rat and a dog.
Oh, yes, you do.
So
How is
July
July
in
typically for you?
July has never been a time that I have enjoyed because when I was a child, there were some really bad experiences that I endured as a child during the 4th of July and leading up to that holiday.
Wow.
So, um, I July has always been kind of a trauma for me, which is interesting because the rat is in my emotions pillar and the dog is in my body pillar. So both of those, I just kind of like my little rat likes to hunker down.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't like to go
Mm-hmm.
out, anytime there's been, 4th of July, like let's go see the fire. It's never been something that I've been excited to go and engage in. July has never been
Mm-hmm.
a month that I'm excited for. So
Yeah.
pay attention in your charts, everyone who's had a four-pillar chart. If you haven't had a four-pillar chart reading, by the way,
Yeah.
please contact either one of us. We're so happy to do that. It's so much fun and it's so insightful. I remember my first four-pillar chart reading with Tina. I had already been studying Western astrology, but the way this chart read was so it pulled out different details than Western astrology does.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so validating to see the personalities of all four of my animals. And then to be able to, 10 years later, 10 plus years, can you believe that? Later is like I'm able to kind of see the cycles through the animals that we
Mm-hmm.
go through month by month. So yeah, pay attention to your four-pillar chart and pay attention to when we're on in these monthly, energy updates. We're telling you about the energy that the month animal has with the other animals that might be struggling for the month.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, we're talking about the ox, which is a damage or a clash. We're talking about the rat, which is a harm or a damage. And then also the dog, which is a breakup energy, which is the end of a cycle, beginning of a new cycle.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And it's not just, like you also realize that you have other animals in your chart too. So if we
mhm,
haven't mentioned an animal, then those animals, you can lean on those animals because they're in a good relationship or a neutral relationship with the sheep. And so
yeah,
you can lean into those pillars or those relationships, those aspects of your life to give you that strength, or to give you a focus so that you're
yeah.
not just focused on worrying. And that worry is the sheep's default
Oh,
because that's
totally.
why it's so nurturing. It worries about others and wants to care for. So if you do step into worry, reach
Mhm.
out and be of service, whether it's at an animal shelter or dropping food off. How can you reach out to a neighbor who needs something? How can you serve? Turn that
Mhm.
worry around and help other people. There's so
Yeah.
many people that need support right now and in the
Yeah.
days to come. I can only imagine. Wish I could do a full 4 pillar reading for you again, because like everybody, even post 3 years ago,
Hmm.
every year, like you get better at reading and interpreting, and the information comes in stronger. And I wish I could just, my past clients, just sit and give everybody a new reading with where I'm at now,
Yeah.
right? Don't you feel
Yeah.
sometimes you?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like the first year I was doing readings, I was like, which was, close to 10 years ago, um 10, 11 years ago even. I wish I could call all of them from that first year and be like, "Can I gift you a free reading?" Because a lot of the information will be very similar to what I said before, but there's more nuance and more details,
Mm,
um, because of how much I've learned over the last
yeah.
decade. So,
Well, and your intuition expands
yeah,
in every reading that you get to do, and it just
yeah,
gets more exciting. That's really
yeah,
cool.
and and also age as well.
Mm,
The only thing that I'm loving about aging is the wisdom that's coming and intuition.
yeah.
That's about it. The rest of it is bullshit. Bullshit. I'm
Just
calling
BS.
bullshit on the universe.
Do it.
Bullshit.
Okay, well, I'm going to leave you with that and let you pull a card.
Oh. Okay, so today I'm pulling from The Wisdom of the
Oh,
Oracle
I
by
love
Colette Baron
this.
Reed. Love this deck.
Yeah, it feels like an actionable deck.
It really does.
Maybe that's the theme of the month. Just call BS when you see it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this card is interesting. It's called Round and Round. So with this card is about cycles. Okay. And when we're pulling a card for the collective, this is what humanity is going to be feeling this month.
Mm,
Okay. So this means that there's going to be collective cycles ending this month and a new cycle beginning.
mm,
But history repeats itself.
yep.
I'm going to say that again. History repeats itself. And the thing about astrology, Western and Chinese astrology, we can't necessarily predict events, but we can track cycles. I like to say we're weather people. We can tell you where the storm's going to be, where to bring your galoshes and your umbrella, and what to prepare for, but we don't know exactly how the storm is going to hit or what the storm is going to entail.
Mm,
But this card, Round and Round, talks about cycles, history repeating itself. Again, the sheep, they can be led down the same path over and over and
mm-hmm,
over again if we don't learn our lesson. So, as a collective, pay attention to the new cycles that start this month because that often means we either haven't learned our lesson or if there's a new cycle starting for you personally in your life, look back at the cycle that you've completed, the lesson that you learned, and step into that new cycle in power.
mm. Wonderful. Beautiful card. Thank you for your interpretation. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody, for being here. All right.
Okay, here we go. We can do
Yep,
this.
we can
We
do
can do
it.
this together.
Just call
There's
BS
strength in
when you see it.
numbers.
That's right. We love you. Reach out if you need anything. Take care.
Bye bye.